Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Virginia Dixon, and I know many of you, and I've had the privilege of working with a few of you. I am the Director of Inner Healing here at the Center for New Medicine, and today I've been asked to engage you in a discussion about inner healing. Before I do that, however, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I do here, how I do it, and why. So, louder?
Louder.
Okay, louder. I hope, should we move that closer?
Nope.
So it can be, no? Okay. When we are not well, obviously when we're not feeling well, or when we've been diagnosed with a major disease like cancer, everything all of a sudden goes into this vortex, this spin cycle. And it feels as if somebody just pulled out this rug under us, right? And it's overwhelming. It's shock, fear, paralysis, every imaginable emotion comes to bear. But what we've discovered, and we've known for some time, but now has been proven beyond any measure of a doubt, is that behind every disease is an enormous combustion of compounded, right, emotional stuff. I was talking to someone today in my office, and I was to a few people here actually today in my office, and I had this picture of a beautiful vessel. We are a vessel, and we're an amazing vessel, because we are a creative force. We are a life-giving force. We are energy. We are life. We reproduce ourselves with something that distinguishes us from every other created being, right? And that thing is called a conscience, a moral conscience, a voice. And so we have these beautiful vessels, and what sustains our life, right, is air, light, substance. All these things sustain our life. Throughout the course of a lifetime, different things clog this vessel. Sometimes we're able to flush those things out, sometimes we're not. But at the end of the day, when we receive a diagnosis of an illness, right, or something that just throws off our balance, harmony, coherence, an autoimmune disease, we already know that all those things that came into us, good, bad, and indifferent, there's some stuff that's been emotionally unresolved. Very specifically, emotionally unresolved, meaning we have not been able to process it, flush it through the system, reconcile it, right? One of the most impactful parts of Dr. Keneally's book, and perhaps it's because of the nature of my work, is on page 123. If you don't have it, it's called The Cancer Revolution, and it's amazing. I've obviously tabbed mine, marked it up, and it's an amazing resource. But she says on page 123, while stress comes from many sources, in my clinical experience, I found that stress that comes from emotional conflict plays a particularly important role in the development of every single one of my patients' illnesses. Often, these emotional conflicts don't just relate to cancer or a cancer diagnosis, but also to relationship problems. Whether it's bad marriage or an abusive parent-child relationship or a conflict with a sibling, or stressful emotions are associated with situations that create internal conflict. I think when I talked about us as being a vessel, those are the things that kind of get stuck in this vessel, right? If you are repressing long-held emotions and or are carrying significant unresolved conflicts within you, stress and disease is brewing within your body. After being here a few years and having the privilege of getting to know so many of you and so many amazing, courageous people that trust us with their life, with their health, I feel like a warrior. We show up to work, right? There's a few of my colleagues here today, and I can't wait to get out of bed and come to work, because I get to invite every single one of you into this place of rest, because I know that if I don't stop and invite you into this place of rest, relational, emotional, and spiritual truth, I cannot address what Dr. Keneally just said is at the root of all illness. It's not possible. So the question is, wow, okay, I'm overwhelmed, right? I'm dealing with the reality that my health is falling apart. Or maybe my health is not falling apart yet. Maybe I'm emotionally not well. I can tell something is starting to unravel and I don't know what it is, right? So how do I handle this? How do I process this? Because I'm the director of inner healing here. What the doctors do with your body, I have the responsibility of doing with this and this, with your head and your heart. Why is that? Because this, you just heard Dr. Keneally say, drives everything. So I just want to pause for a second and bring this into context, okay? When we talk about inner healing, healing what? What are we? Who are we? You must never forget, if you forget everything else I say to you today, you need to forget, remember, you must not forget that the body, our human body, is made to house our spirit. The spirit is not made for the body. The body is made for the spirit. And the transmitter of all spiritual things is your soul. So you have a spirit that is the program you came to earth with, right? You have a soul, mind, will, emotion, and consciousness that transmits all of what? The electric, magnetic fields, the frequencies, everything that comes with all these emotional states we experience. And those get processed and they go into what? They go into our body and straight into our brain, right? And those are the facets that make you who you are. The challenge is when you get a cancer diagnosis, in many cases here, right? What happens? All those three compartments go into the spin cycle, and you do what? You lose perspective. And all of a sudden, you lose sight of the most powerful force you have within you to heal. And as a clinical psych major and a neuroscientist, I'm going to just tell you right now, the most powerful force you have to heal is inside of you. It's your mind. It's your head, your brain, and your mind. Here's the disparity, and here's what happens when you become disoriented. Fear takes over, right? Some of the things I'm going to be talking to you about speak to laws of nature that are obvious, self-evident truth that speak to your natural affections. I'm trying very hard not to be technical or get philosophical about this. This is very simple. When you have cancer, when you have this conflict, I kind of like to refer to cancer more as an internal conflict that's trying to find resolution. That's an opportunity to say, wait a minute, I missed something in the spiritual realm because I didn't understand, right? We grow into an understanding of what that means. Then I have a mind, will, emotion, consciousness, which is my soul. Shoot, until now I didn't even know the difference between those things. But there was something in how I did life that came into this vessel that I didn't process. So what does the brain do? The brain says, step aside, I'm going to take over and I'm going to manage this. I'm going to handle this. So what happens? The brain has a life right here, sustaining the life of your body that's independent of what's happening in your soul, in your heart. The disparity between those two things, that's where disease sets in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Do you have any questions or thoughts, or are you tracking with me? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what happens is, when you find yourself in these chairs, or I sometimes find myself not well, I have to start peeling back the layers of these parts that make me me and diagnose where the breakdown is, right? When it's too late and I already have cancer, I need to say, that's a blessing. My body now is saying what you missed in the spiritual realm, what you missed in your mind, your will, your emotions, your consciousness, because you weren't aware. Now it's flushed down into your body. And I'm getting kind of tired processing this whole thing. I need help, right? So when you come see me in the next few minutes, I'm going to extend, many of you have worked with me already, but I'm going to tell you what I do, how I do it, and why. I help reconcile the confusion and the fragmentation that comes with everything that comes with fear, right? Between these spiritual things, these soul things, and these brain things, right? And I try to reconcile that, because the extent to which I'm reconciling the things that you feel in your heart and you believe with the things that your brain knows to be true, that's when healing comes in and spontaneous remissions come in. I am absolutely persuaded of that. This is why. Our hearts, mind, will, emotion, consciousness are part of our soul. The heart and the mind are down here, not up here. The brain's different. Your brain's a machine, and it is taking in 100% of everything it sees, it experiences, it feels, it senses, 100%. It's right here. So see, you believe many things that your brain knows are not true. So what you know and what you believe, there's a conflict. Now, you understand many things that you don't know. But there are other things that you know for a fact, but you don't understand. There's confusion in here. I hope you reconcile those things so we can get into a flow with your spirit, and we take these fragmented pieces, and then you kind of just operate as a whole, and strange things start happening. Like, I start feeling better. I am happy. I don't care what the test results are. I've never felt this good in my life. And I'm seeing a few of you in this room that I'm not allowed to name, but you can speak up for yourselves, that we've experienced the power of that, not just in your life, but in the lives of your family. One of my patients said, how do I even explain what you do? Because it's unconventional. This whole place is unconventional, but it's exciting because I step into this place because of this work, the work of this courageous woman and these amazing doctors we have here, and they said, I feel hope. And you guys are pioneers. You're going into venturing into this field of healing, but I feel hope. But I don't know how to explain, Virginia, what you do. I'm going to tell you in one sentence what I do. I help reconcile these fragmented emotional pieces and spiritual pieces that have caused you confusion, that have made you not well. It's like those little old vintage toys that you pull that little cord and they pop into place. That's what I do. And I help you take back the power and the authority that you've given fear when you got that diagnosis of cancer. I help you take power back in your life and say, hell no, wait a minute. Oops, maybe I'm not supposed to say that. Heck no. No. Wait a minute. If my emotionally fragmented state got me here, and these emotions, it's too late, I'm sorry. My boss is right here. Got me here, then what the heck? I have a path out of this place. And I wanted to posit something in you before I forget. Healing is about freedom. Every single person I talk to, I look at them and I say, you can heal. And if I have anything to do with it, I will help you heal. Because I show up for battle every single day. Because it's a pilgrimage. It's a pilgrimage of what? Why do I show up for battle? Because the battle's for your heart. The battle's for your mind. The battle's to reconcile these things. And the battle is to help you do what? Heal. Right? So you can be free. Healing is about freedom. I cannot tell you the amazing people I have met in this clinic that showed up for the fight, and the end of the story wasn't as important as the process. Because in the process of their pilgrimage of healing, they brought healing to their whole family. One of my patients said, Virginia, you know who you are? You're the doctor of reconciliation. You've helped reconcile these fragmented pieces in my life, and I don't even think about cancer anymore. Because I just know I didn't get here overnight. And I'm on the right track to get out of this place. Isn't that awesome? Because you guys, at the end of the day, you know, we all have an appointment with destiny. By the way, that's a beautiful thing too, right? Because there's a lot of stories about what that's like. But, so what are we afraid of? Nothing. I want to encourage every single one of you to embark on this pilgrimage of healing, because you're not embarking on it just for yourselves, but this is going to have implication on your children and on your children's children and on your family. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to finish with this and open up for questions. Your story did not begin at home. That is a lie from the pit of hell. No, your story did not begin at home. You're giving your parents too much credit, and you carry too much shame. That's my observation behind closed doors, right? So much shame, so much guilt, so much regret. That's a lie. Your story began in the home of the home of the home of the home of your parents, 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 parents. That's where your story began. And any doctor, by the way, you guys can Google all this stuff and go to YouTube. I love YouTube. Go educate yourselves, because you're free and you have power and you're in a war. You go get all the ammunition you can. And when you show up here, it's exciting, because those are the stories we need to be sharing with each other. The stuff we're learning, right? Not to diagnose each other, because behind every single one of our states of disease or disease is our story. So the reason we need to all be careful when we get depressed with each other's stories is we don't know with each other's diagnosis of what a doctor's doing here, a doctor's doing here, there. We need to be careful not to go there, you guys, because behind every disease is what? A story. And you do not know what that story is. It is complicated. I live in people's secret places, and from the depth of my heart, I tell you, I respect Dr. Keneally more every single day. And I respect every single one of you that steps to these doors every single day, because this fight takes courage, okay? But we've got everything in here and in here, right? And our stories to reconcile so that we can displace the things that are causing the conflict in us. Does that make sense? Just threw a bunch of stuff out there. Was that?
So you might want to go into how you reconcile from family to individual, and where they come in and they've been diagnosed with some kind of an issue or disease or cancer, and how that works.
Okay. Can they hear you, what you just said? How we
Repeat
reconcile when somebody is not well. They're coming in with a history of histories of histories of histories, and yet they're here and they feel like the rug's been pulled out from under them, and it's a free fall. What do? I help them examine the life of their heart. Everything flows out of your heart. And by the way, the science that's coming out on the heart now is fascinating. The heart, and all of ancient literature since the beginning of time, is the mind. The heart and the mind are used interchangeably. Out of the heart flow all the issues of life. Not out of the stomach, by the way. Stomach and all that processes everything. But it's out of the heart of man. So that's where I start. The heart will deceive you. Your heart will lie to you. Your belief system deceives you. That's why you live with so much shame, and that's largely, with all due respect, that's why I see people develop cancer. Your heart, your mind, is 1/4 of your heart, of your soul, okay? That region, your internal parts right here, it's telling you a story that has to be checked with the facts. My background's in neuroscience. My passion is for the brain. When a brain is out of balance, harmony, and coherence, it'll still not lie. By the grace of God, I met Dr. Keneally and Dr. Lee Cowden, and some amazing giants in the field of neuroregeneration that have been pioneers in integrated functional medicine for about 40 years, that have opened up a new world to me, and some other technology I use. But to answer that question, here's what happens. We come out of our families of origins, and we have a belief system about ourselves and about everybody else, right? That belief system has to be tested against what your brain knows to be true. May I give an example?
Mhm. So let's say it's a family too, and that their mom has been diagnosed, and they're not all on the same page.
Yeah. That's a complicated issue, and I deal with that. But I always have to work with the individual, and I'm going to tell you why. Because that individual is the only one that really has the power and the authority to heal. Because see, although chemotherapy is not the best, and we know all the stats on chemotherapy, that's why you guys are here, right? If we've done amazing work here, 2-3 months of amazing work, strengthening immune system and everything, but that cancer is not where Dr. C, Dr. Von Schaefer, and a lot of our team thinks it should be at that time, they're going to recommend that we do that chemo. That patient by that time has reconciled what they know with what they believe. It's reconciled. So when you give them that chemo, it works. Mm-hmm. If you do that same thing in reverse, that patient, everything in them says, no, this violates my conscience. This is not what I want to do in my heart. And in my brain, I've done my research. That person's reconciled, saying no chemo. It is a mistake. Anything will kill that person. So we have to listen very carefully to the patient. That's my answer. Yeah. And that patient, I strengthen that patient because I need to fight with that patient, not with their family for their life. And contrary to what things may seem like, I live behind these closed doors. And this is not all about the money. It's just when you pioneer and you're in a cultural war over functional and integrated medicines versus the giants of conventional medicine, we put everything on the line to help you guys heal.
I have a question for you. What if you may not remember certain tragedies? Can they still impact your health?
Absolutely. It's a matter of fact, those things, there's feelings behind those hidden tragedies that are buried alive, and they never, ever, ever die. They're going to manifest in cancer, autoimmune diseases. There's some amazing, brilliant doctors and physicians and PhDs. Specifically, I'm working with a recall healing team. And I have the privilege now of, as I spend time with you or with some of you that we've already done this, that's my passion, is we bury those secrets out of the rubble. And I'm going to tell you why. Secrets kill you. You need, those of you who are people of prayer, go before God and ask to expose the secrets of your hearts. Why? Because they'll kill you if not. And then, if you know you're flushed and your vessel is flowing, but somehow you still have cancer, I'm going to tell you right now, there are family secrets. There are things hidden that you don't know. And by the way, we never talk to our parents or go back for information, for shame, condemnation, or accusations, right? They're things that we all do the best we can with what we have. But you need to uncover those secrets, and I'm going to tell you why. Every cell in your body knows exactly the truth of what was going on with mom and dad and everything about them. You carry it. The psychology of your parents becomes your biology. So you're not on a hunt to shame anybody. What's happening is this. Your constitution and your brain knows the truth. Your heart just doesn't know why you've always wanted to kill yourself, why you've always been depressed all your life. You have no idea why you always felt like you didn't belong here. I'm telling you, I have seen miracles with that. But then we say good. I say good to that. You know why? That's a conflict. Where there's a conflict, guess what, you guys? There's a treasure hunt. The treasure hunt is for the secret. Because a secret is an infection in the soul of a person, in our anatomy, or in the soul of a family, or in the conscience of your parents. If you can be gentle, which we work on that, and with sensitivity and compassion, and understand that this is a pilgrimage we all embark on, we all heal, right?
What if you do not have access to parents to learn about those secrets?
Great, 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 great question. I was with Jill Barrett and Dr. Michelle Schrader, that president of Recall Healing USA, and I watched him do things on paper that just blew my mind. So there is a way to unwrap those things. and diffuse the power of those things. But it's too complicated for the amount of time I have here and the people that may want to comment that are here now or have questions. But great question. And I have to tell you, it's an exciting adventure, but there's a way out. Yeah.
Any other questions?
There's a way out of that darkness. Does anybody have questions or comments? Would you like to say anything? You're like one of my, or Leslie, you're one of my poster children. I mean, there's people in this room right now that we have witnessed miracles with. And I want to say, to make a plug, not just for the center, but for the courage that Dr. Keneally's had in saying, wait, there's a complex web here of healing that we're just beginning to understand. My greatest joy is in working with one of you and healing a family. You guys, and that's the story that's untold about this place. Mm-hmm.
So I have a question.
Yes.
We were talking earlier with a patient, we were talking about how important our thoughts are.
Mm.
And as far as the negative and the positive and trying to stay on the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
So could you maybe talk
Yeah,
about it?
that's a great question about our thoughts, the power of our thought life. Where do thoughts come from? In here, belief systems. Thoughts come from our belief systems. When those thoughts have been reconciled with truth, and I know those thoughts are deceiving me, neurological imbalances, a stuck brain. Think about your brain like this. Every single thing you experience in your life, how about this? The memory experts tell us that the tapestry of memory, of the memory of our brain, is being woven in the womb 6 weeks after that little sperm hits the egg. And that tapestry begins, and that combustion, when memory's beginning to be formed and all of this stuff, can you imagine? That begins to build a neuro landscape, like these paintings and things you see. Can you imagine? Your brain is this beautiful tapestry of neurological activity that was constructed with everything you saw, heard, and experienced. That's what's in your brain. When I have someone that comes, by the way, we all have amazing parents, okay? They gave us life. They fed us. They supported us. We got here. Are they imperfect? Yes. Were things not? Yes. Is there? Yes. Life's chaotic. People are imperfect. We're all broken. Okay, so that's an old narrative. We don't need to dwell on that. The question is, how fun that we can embark on this pilgrimage of healing when my thoughts are dark, and I look at the good intentions of my parents, and I try to process how I feel and what I'm thinking and what the heck is wrong with me. There are things there that have happened to you or have happened to your parents. There's things you're carrying that have developed that are part of this tapestry, of this network. And there is nothing to date like brainwave optimization. There's just nothing like it. It brings the brain into balance, harmony, and coherence in such a powerful, compelling way. And it's just phenomenal. It helps the brain, which, by the way, is the operating system for your whole body, right? If the spirit is a software, the spirit is the program. The soul, if it's a software that, right, makes everything operate. This is the operating system right here. Of what? The hard drive, the whole body. Okay. Reconciling those things and looking at them as separate pieces that need to work together. That's what we love doing here. And that's what Dr. C's been at for 40 years, right? Almost 40 years. So does that answer your question?
It does.
Yeah. Because I work with doctors, and I am honored because I see what these ladies do behind closed doors. And I'm sure, I don't know if anybody says this or knows this, but Dr. C, I mean, we're always studying. We're always researching. Dr. C is sending us stuff.
Dr. C is Dr. Keneally.
Dr. Keneally, excuse me. Dr.
We call her
Keneally.
Dr. C.
She's sending us stuff all the time. We've got to be on our toes. I want to be. I love understanding how the whole thing works, right? So we bring you our best. Every day you walk through those doors, we do our very best to bring you our best. And when it's not, you see us working on it. So, but
Any
good
other
question.
questions?
Any other questions or comments?
right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah?
Go ahead.
could you speak to or give an example of when you discover somewhere in the soul, mind, will, emotion, when you discover this thing that has unresolved, and you talk about bringing reconciliation, what mechanisms do you use, or can you speak to how do you do that? So you recognize this is something that happened and this is a source of this.
Mm-hmm.
Then what?
That's a great question.
Repeat that question.
Yeah. When you recognize the source of the conflict, right,
Mm-hmm.
that you just resolved, what happens?
Where do you go from there?
Honestly, it's the most beautiful thing I experience with people behind closed doors. Forgiveness, instantly, of self and others. And that's where real healing takes place. Because then, you're not waiting for Dr. Keneally's opinion like she's God. She's not. These doctors here just show up like you do every day to do everything you're supposed to do. That's what we do. It's just we love you guys. And we love healing. And we love the conversation. But forgiveness happens. Peace happens. It's like, oh, you know what it's like? Everybody close your, well, do I have a few more minutes?
Yes. you do.
Okay, I want everybody to close their eyes for 1 second. And I do this often. And I do this with patients. And even if you're watching online, just trust me for a minute. And Liliana's in here, I think, somewhere. Just close your eyes for a minute. And I want you to think about your mom and your dad when they were young, in love or not, whatever. They had you. And you are not a mistake. I mean, so many crazy things had to happen for you to be you in your mother's womb. As you grew, you were born into this thing, let's call it a pool. The pool's life. I want you to imagine this beautiful pool. And as you were birthed into this pool, I'm doing this too, you guys, as I'm asking you to think about this for a second. And the pool's life, there's balloons. Some are translucent and beautiful, and some are black. Some are big, and some are small. Okay? Because we're sinners born into an imperfect world. We're imperfect people born into an imperfect world by imperfect humans, okay? So in that pool, it's not crystal clean and perfect. There's things that just aren't right, and we intuitively know it, but it's all we know. We're the fish that are wet, right? I want just what percentage of balloons in that pool right after you were born seem overwhelming? Is it 50%? Raise your hand. 75%? I should have started higher. Is it 75% of the balloons in that pool that are overwhelming? 50%? 30%? Okay. Now you go through life, you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I'm going a little quickly. 13, 14 years old. How many balloons by the age of 15 do you see in that pool? Call out a number. Just call out a number.
Are the balloons the good things or the bad things?
Both, good and bad. I want to know how many dark ones are in that pool by the time you're about 15 years old. And literally keep your eyes closed. It's really important you keep your eyes closed.
23.
23. Call out a number.
95.
95. Just everybody call out a number.
8.
35.
35, 33, 75, 95. Okay. By the time you're 30, 20, 30, 40 years old, how many, those of you who are older, how many of those dark balloons do you see in that pool?
It's overflowing.
It's overflowing.
It's going out.
Okay, let me ask you something. Can you swim? Can you feel the sunshine?
Nope.
Can you enjoy the pool?
Nope.
No. Those balloons represent memories. What happens if you meet Virginia Dixon and you say, oh, that's fantastic. I know how to get rid of those balloons. Come here, let me invite you into this place of rest because I know how to help you experience freedom. We're going to examine the foundations that shape your life. and I'm going to help you pop those balloons. Okay? How am I going to do that when I'm telling you we cannot blow them out of the pool because they're going to blow right back in? What do we have to do with those balloons? Excuse me?
Diffuse them.
Pop them, diffuse the, right? So guess what happens to those balloons? They sink now to the bottom of the pool. What happens to you? What's happening to you right now? Do you feel, can you move? Do you have it? Call out a word.
You float up.
Yes. You feel, what?
Freedom.
Freedom, yes. And you feel sunshine, and you feel warm. And you also feel rain, and you realize how fun it is to be in a pool in the rain. Why? Because you have movement. You've gotten rid of some of the stuff that was prohibiting you from moving, right? So you guys, that's you can open your eyes now. That's exactly what happens when what Randy asked happens. What happens when you reconcile the conflict between the pain that you feel and what in fact your brain knows to be true, and you find you've reconciled these things? What then? You popped a bunch of those balloons. Sometimes it's one giant balloon. Sometimes it's 20. Sometimes it's 30. But that's what you do. That's what happens. And guess what happens after you're having fun in your pool and you have more movement? What's the first thing you do?
Swim.
Swim. And after you
Splash.
swim, what do you have? Splash. And what do?
Laugh.
Laugh. Right? That's freedom. Has a cancer gone? No, it didn't get there overnight. Sometimes it doesn't go overnight. But we live with greater levels of freedom. What do you think is happening to your immune system with that greater found freedom? It's singing. Those ideas, those thoughts you talked about, they have implications on our cells. Caroline Leaf, on her neural pathways. Caroline Leaf, YouTube, Google her, go look her up. It's amazing. That's real. That's science. So you guys, we're not living in a reformation. We're in the middle of a revolution. We're in a reconstruction in the field of medicine and wellness and healing. And this doesn't stop here at the center or with you. This is energy and frequencies that we're sending out into the world, and it is going to change our primary spheres of influence. And you guys have an opportunity to not bring healing to yourself, but to your marriages, to your friendships, to your children. Okay? So that's what we do. That is what I do. I try to pop those black. I don't do anything, by the way. I facilitate. I meet you where you're at. The life of the heart has to do with a conflict with this. The role of relationships is all about attachment theory, and the research on attachment is almost error-free. It spans about 70 or 80 years. It's phenomenal. Avoider, chaotic, controller, victim, same person. Pleaser, almost the same person as a victim, except they'll draw a line with abuse. Vacillator, we call them bipolar and borderline personalities. Abandonment, severe abandonment. The measure and the extent to which they were abandoned will depend on the frequency and the duration of their swings. And then the avoider had to become independent at an early age and be on their own. So these are 5 attachment styles, okay? Those aren't labels, by the way. That's how your nervous system learned to manage anxiety. And it has a neurological expression. So be careful, be gentle with yourself and others. We attribute character deficits when in fact we're dealing with neurological imbalances as a result of early childhood traumas or life traumas. Life is traumatic, right? But here's the thing I want to leave you with. Find joy in your journey, no matter what. Find joy in it. We find joy in showing up to work with you guys every day. Come here and find joy and look for each of us. Find the treasures in each one of us, and then, just suck the nectar out of this experience, because you're reconciling conflicts that are just manifesting in the form of a disease. That's it.
May I add something?
Yes.
I have known Virginia for some time now, and when she found me, I was a chaotic nightmare, dealing with lots of PTSD, addiction, alcoholism, depression, anxiety. The clinical diagnosis was grim. And what I want to stress with what she does, she opened up her talk with talking about rest, relational, emotional, spiritual truth. And to really simplify it, that's where she takes you. She takes you to that place of rest, to calm everything down so you have the ability to actually heal. Because you cannot heal if you're like this. But if you can get to a place of rest, you can think, you can process your body, your emotions, everything can heal.
That's beautiful, and that's a great, by the way, they're here from out of town on their honeymoon, and so it's such a joy to have you here. But I want to say that's what Dr. Keneally's all about. The body has everything it needs to heal. We're just coming alongside of you and helping you. You've got everything you need to heal in here and in here. So let's carry on the revolution, and let's do this. Let's heal, okay?
Great. Yay.
Thank you. Is that